This episode of TriRiot is all about an interview. Actually, it is an interview with a 2015 Ironman World Championship competitor. And I think you're going to like what she has to say. Welcome to TriRiot, a show that explores the mysteries of why ordinary people push themselves to extraordinary limits. I'm LG, and in this episode, I'm interviewing Sami Winter. If you don't know Sami, she is a bubble of energy, a ball of fire, full of life, and just a lot of fun to be around. Now, Sami qualified for the 2015 World Championship Ironman race, lovingly known to us triathletes as Kona. And she went there, she raced, she came back, and she's going to tell me all about it right now. I'm LG, and this is TriRiot. I'm with Sami Winter. And Sami Winter, you might remember from a previous episode. I interviewed her after a spin session, and we talked about her qualifying race at Florida. And here's a bit of that interview right now.
We woke up that morning and it was cold. It was 40 degrees and the winds were about 25, 30 miles an hour. So we walked down to swim and we're looking out there and it looks a little bit scary, and they couldn't get the all the kayaks and boats and everything out there, all the safety vessels. So we're standing on the beach, and within 5 minutes of standing on the beach, they canceled the swim.
So tell me about your training since Florida. Since we talked in February, how have you done it differently than you normally would have? Because you've done quite a few of these Ironman races. What was different?
Honestly, I felt like this year I was probably a little more conservative with the training. I used Kona as the goal at the end of the year and had to arrive there healthy and able to get through the race in whatever shape or form. So I almost feel that my running was a little bit more conservative. Biking was probably the same. The swimming was a little bit different in that I made a few more attempts during the summer to go swim in my swim skin, which I don't usually do because Kona was going to be non-wetsuit legal, and also to swim against the current. Because they do say that Kona has a little bit current, and I can certainly attest to that they did this year actually. So I made a little more attempts to swim against the current in the swim skin to kind of make it seem almost like easier for race day. Bike was probably the same, and like I think I was a little more conservative with the running, and whether that was good or not.
So when you say conservative, you kind of dialed back the intensity or the volume? How did you?
I'm gonna say it was volume.
Okay.
I really dialed back the volume. I'm a fairly low volume runner anyway, but I went even less volume, and I really avoided a lot of track work.
When you got to the height of your training period, how many hours a week do you think you were putting in?
I don't know. I'm going to estimate probably when I had to do a 5 or 6 hour ride, probably 15 hours a week. That's about all I had time for. You know, a couple hours during the week, and then the long ride would be probably 5 hours on the weekend. And then maybe a 90-minute run on the day before. How
would that compare to other athletes that you've known who have prepared for Kona? The number of hours?
Oh, I'm sure it was a lot less.
Yeah.
My goal was I wanted to finish Kona. I wanted to get the medal. I wanted to finish it. I'm not going to say I didn't want to be a competitor, which everybody that goes to Kona wants to be a competitor, and I saw that when I got there. But a lot of people do a lot of volume to get there, and I just simply don't have the time. I did what I had to have the time. I mean, that's all I had the time to do with everything else I've got going on. So you do what you can.
I want to point out and remind ourselves and everyone is that Sami qualified for Kona. She did not get in through the lottery. Not that it's any better or any worse, but she does have the performance behind her to qualify.
I worked 2014 when I qualified that year. I was in great shape that year. I was training a lot. I had a lot of good key sessions. And I'll remind you too, I didn't have to swim to qualify because the swim at Florida was canceled. So I guess that's the reason I spent extra time in 2015 on the swim.
Now, did you suffer any setbacks through training and right up to the day of the race? Did you suffer any setbacks throughout the season?
Everything the season was going fairly well. I qualified for 70.3 World Championships in ZLMC. I got to ZLMC, my knee was a little bit tweaky, that knee that I've been babying all year. But still, got through that race, did well, really babied that from all through September. And then about 3 weeks before Kona, my hip started bothering me. I was like, oh, I'm not going to be
3 weeks.
About 3 weeks before, and that was the week before I was actually getting on the plane to leave.
So just when you want to try to taper.
So there's nothing you can do at that point because you have to go. There's no deferral. You've got to do what you can to get through. So I really shut the run down. There was no running at all. There was minimal, maybe 3, 4, 5 miles, but no running at all right before Kona. Yeah. Just babied it. So maybe it was good I was in Maui beforehand, so I wasn't tempted to do a lot anyway.
Tell me about the race. You got that you're there in Hawaii. I mean, it's race morning. This is the first time that you've done this race. Was it what you expected?
Oh, it was everything that I expected and probably more. The whole venue and the experience was what I expected. It's very easy to get overwhelmed, and I'm not going to say I was overwhelmed, but there were a few moments of, wow, do I really belong here? Because everybody there is competitive. They threw out a stat at the welcome dinner that was 70% of the people who were there this year had been there before.
And so the cannon goes off and the swim starts. Was it a frenzy like I've heard?
Well, it was different this year because they split the men and the women. This is the first year they've ever done that. So the pro men go off, then the pro women, then all the age group men, and then all the age group women. Mm-hmm. So it was nowhere near as crowded as it could have been, but it was crowded and everybody took off like a rocket ship. And I said, you know what? This is a long swim, and basically you swim out to a big boat and you have to swim around a big boat. And they talk about the current, and there was a current this year, definitely on the way back in. Like, I got out to the boat and I was like, oh, this wasn't too bad. I swam pretty easy. You made the turn around the boat, and I guess at that point I'd caught up to a lot of women that had taken off fast and were slowing down, and somehow I got caught in this pack and I didn't like it. So I backed way off, and the current was starting that time. I was like, okay, I'm gonna swim easy. We were starting to catch up with some of the back of the pack or men at this point, and I got caught in a big pack again, and so I really just dialed it back and said, you know what, I just gotta get out of the swim. When you got out of the water, did you feel back of the field, or did you? Oh yeah, I felt back of the field. My bike, I had no trouble finding my bike. But that's okay. But some of that was how we had started too, because the women started 10 minutes behind. Yeah, I was going to say that, but that would add to that feel. But that didn't get you down though. That kind of thing doesn't get you down. I was anticipating that. Yeah. No, that was fine. Yeah. That was totally fine. I knew I was going to be at the back of the pack for the day, so I was mentally prepared for that, and that was okay with me. Yeah. You were never alone on the bike course, though. You thought you were at the back of the pack, but there was always, I was never felt by myself at all out there. And the wind that they say, and from everyone that I've talked to, they say the wind is always in your face when you're on the way out and always in your face on the way back. 100% guaranteed. Really? Exactly like that. And it was probably about 20 in your face going out. And we up the climb to Hawaii, we actually picked up a rainstorm, and it was pouring on us. It was just pouring going up the hill. You made the turnaround, it got really muggy, and sure enough, all the way back, it was about a 30-mile-per-hour headwind. Oh, I was happy to be off that bike. You were happy to be off that bike. But I looked at my watch and I was like, oh, I have plenty of time to run, walk this thing, and get in. Yeah. My feet, I got off the bike and my feet hurt. I took off my shoes on the bike. I was walking through. Did you take extra time in transition to get them? Yeah, I was walking very gingerly through transition. There was no running through transition, very gingerly. Got in the tent, and it was, because I was near the back, a lot of people have been out there a long time. It was kind of chaos in the tent. People were hot. Just sitting there with towels over them, looking, a lot of carnage. And I was like, I got to get out of here as soon as I can. Yeah, bad energy. Bad energy. So I sat there for a little bit, kind of massaged my feet, got my shoes on, and then my motto is get out of transition. You can walk. So I just got out of there, started walking, saw Charlie, saw my fans, kept walking a little bit, and then you get into a little trot. So I got on the run. You head up down the Leahy Drive. I was walking. I was running everywhere except up the hills, and I was walking up the hills, and I came across this guy. I was probably about mile 3 or 4. He was walking. I was like, come on, come with me.
That's so you.
Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
And his name was Tommy, and we stayed together the entire rest of the time after that. And we had a ball.
Yeah.
We had so much fun together to get through that. He made me laugh. And you know, it's interesting, when you're at the back there, the medical team checks on you all the time. They were constantly going, okay, we're fine.
Yeah.
We're just walking. We're fine.
But I think even a bad day at Kona is much better than the best day in a typical situation.
That's what Tommy and I said. Like I said, we never really went to that awful place where this is horrible. You know, when we were coming down to the energy lab and you could see, you know, the water and the stars. I mean, it was beautiful. We're like, we're in Hawaii. I can think of worse places to walk. We did pick up this other guy at the time who was kind of with us. At one point, there was like 6 of us kind of hanging together, but they had actually a little bit negative energy. He was like, I ran 4 hours at Florida to qualify. I can't believe I'm back here. And Tommy and I were like, we need to run.
Yeah.
We're like, we're going to run a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the biggest things about triathlon for me is that social. You meet people on the run. You know, you got 26 miles to get to know somebody, and it can be a lot of fun. And if you get into that negative environment, then you just want to get away.
It cannot be fun.
Yeah,
so
we were.
I'm gonna tell you one more story about the finish because
Yes,
this is a good story.
yes,
So you
please.
crossed the finish line, and Tommy had gotten over there first. He was waiting for me. So you cross, and when you're back kind of there, they're all worried that. I mean, there was people dropping all around us. You could just. I mean, there was people really struggling and still running, and we're like, you know what? We're gonna walk. I'm not gonna end up in the med tent, right? I want this to be a good experience. So you run down Lee Drive, you cross, and instantly like 3-4 people grab you. Are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I just really want a moment, but I'm fine.
What was the clock time at this point? Do you remember?
I don't even remember because I wasn't paying any attention to that. So you get there and they put the beads around you, right? And I can see Tommy back there because he waited for me. He goes, we want our medal. Where's the medal? And the lady's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, there's my buddy who I just met. We're fine. Let me go. I'm like, get out. I need just some space.
Yeah.
So we walk back and he goes, where's the medal? And you had to walk like about another half mile to get your medal. I'm like, we're going there right now to get our medals. So we're like, let's go. But everybody's so worried about it. I'm like, we're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm all right. But that's a good stop. And then we kind of went and got French fries and ice cream. Charlie is waiting for me, and he didn't have anybody there. And I don't know if Charlie was worried about me or not, but I'm like, I'm gonna eat my French fries. I'm gonna sit and eat
French fries and ice cream after 140.6 miles. You deserve it.
It was
You
awesome.
deserve it.
With our medals around our neck.
What do they say? 10,000 calories a person burns typically in an Ironman race like that.
Yes.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. I sure appreciate the time.
You're welcome. This was fun. I love talking about it.
Yeah, I love hearing about it. It's great. The last thing I want to do is I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Without Limits and Tom Clifford for allowing us to use his CompuTrainer Spin Studio. It's a beautiful facility here in Wilmington, North Carolina. All right, thanks again, Sam.
Thank you.
So, until next time, stay to the right, pass on the left, keep on smiling. For TriRiot, I'm LG.